This is Toledo SymphonyLAB, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator Merwin Sue, and the TSO's marketing director Felicia Canny. We also have the music director of Toledo Symphony here with us today, and that is Elaine Trudell. Welcome to everybody. Elaine,
Hello.
Nice to have you here in the studio as opposed to on the phone.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like this show has become Where in the World is Alain Trudell?
Well, we know where he is, at least for the next 29 minutes. After that, I take no responsibility whatsoever.
You're not the music director's keeper.
No. We're talking today about West Side Story. That is a concert that is happening this weekend, Saturday night, in fact, September 29th. It's at the Stranahan Theatre at 8 o'clock p.m., part of the ongoing Bernstein Centennial, Leonard Bernstein celebration. More information at ToledoSymphony.com or 419-246-8000. Who wants to tell us what the concert is? I mean, it's not just the orchestra, it's also the silver screen element. You want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. So this actually kind of follows our Singing in the Rain show that we did last season, where we have this massive screen over the orchestra. Mm-hmm. And during the concert, it's actually the screening of the West Side Story film, and the orchestra plays the soundtrack live to the entire film, perfectly in time.
Well, you know, now, Elaine, are you conducting this?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my gosh. I don't envy you, because it seems like this is...
It's going to be a workout.
You know, there's Singing in the Rain, and then you look at West Side Story, which is all about dance and rhythm, and so much in the way of coordination that has to happen with the orchestra, because there are all these cues and all these jazz cues and hits and beats that are...
He's like slowly shrinking.
Yes,
I think he just headed for the door there a second ago.
Wow, he made it all of 1 week through his music directorship.
Thank you, guys.
Check, please. So, you know, not to make it sound too daunting, because I'm sure you're more than up to the task, can you talk a little bit, Elaine, about the challenges of conducting the music with the film?
Well, it's exactly what you mentioned. There's so much coordination to do, because it's not just a background, you know, a little melody that goes on while people are talking or something like that. It actually has to do with movement, with dance, and also the singers in the movie, they're the ones singing.
Yeah.
So we just take out the track under them, and we have to play the same thing that they play when they sung. And at that time, when they had they were pre-digital era, you would cut in the movie and in the sound when you make an edit. And like if an actor had a better take on one and the music went. So what we don't notice when we watch the movie, because even when I watch it again to prepare, of course, you have to watch it a lot. I don't really notice it all that much, a change of tempos. You know, the tempo changes. Then it gets faster, slower. But you notice it a lot because when you play it, because they're like micro changes. But as you see them, you don't see so much different. You watch the movie, there's the image, there's the voice, there's the sound, there's the dancing. But when you're playing them, you say, oh, it's fast, oh, slow, fast, slow, 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 fast, slow. And it's a big job.
Toes.
And it's a really, really, really big challenge for the drummer also. Because because then you have to find, because what's the most important thing about drumming is the groove, is to stay in a stable rhythm, right? So that everybody can, you know,
they take it off of them.
Well, exactly. But to fit the movie, it has to be a little bit unstable while seeming completely stable.
Yeah, because maybe when they did the cuts and things like that, and they
lose a millionth of a second or something like that. So basically, what you will see, there's you know the image of like the swan or the duck that's on the water, very graceful and beautiful, and under pedaling like crazy. Oh yeah, that's pretty much going to be what we're going to be doing. But you won't see it.
Yeah. So we know there's going to be a lot going on with the orchestra, and obviously with Alain, you know, pedaling his way through the score. Let's talk about the film, because this is such a wonderful choice for people to come watch this movie. If you've not seen the West Side Story film, this holds a particularly important place, not only in film history, but also in musical theater history, because it really took what was a success on Broadway and made it a worldwide phenomenon, really, this Robert Wise film in the 60s. You want to talk about that a little bit, Zach?
I think this is one of those films where people remember the first time they saw it. and where they were and who they saw it with. And I remember my mother came to the conclusion that I had not seen West Side Story. I knew some of the music from the record, but I'd never seen the film. And we ran out to the video store that was at Cricket West. I can't think of what it was called right now. And we got the one VHS copy they had. And we sat and watched it on a tiny television in her bedroom. And I just remember at the end just being devastated, but feeling like I had been moved by some serious drama. And I might have been 10 years old. Yeah. And it just, it gave such great context to the songs that I had known very well by that point. And it's a beautifully done film. It's vivid in its colors. The soundtrack obviously is exceptional.
And the choreography
but you have Jerome Robbins, you have Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics, which you start to think about that, and then Bernstein, of course, with the music. So it just was one of those things that never was equaled in the combination of dance and film and music. And it when it came out, you think about the social climate that it came out in, it stopped the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a landmark event. If you go back and look at, the last few decades before West Side Story came out in musical theater, you've got, sort of a game changer with Showboat in the late 1920s, and then a little bit later in the 1940s, you got these Rodgers and Hammerstein musical coming out, where you have things like Oklahoma and Carousel, where the music and the songs are all about propelling the drama forward. There's a real marriage between the two. And then along comes West Side Story, and all of a sudden it's all about dance and elevating dance to the level of storytelling as well, with all the music and the drama that came before.
But think of who was dancing. Like, they gave great ballet moves to a bunch of street thugs. So that was a juxtaposition that caught everybody off guard. But even think about the opening of the overture. I mean, this is not Rodgers and Hammerstein from, the first couple notes.
Right. Right. It's not just an evening's entertainment.
Right.
It's something that's really meant to engage your eyes and engage your thought process. And it puts you off guard from the very beginning. Even when you look at the movie now, and they start with, the gangs and the basketball courts and all that sort of thing, for the first few seconds, it could be, a documentary about gang life. And all of a sudden, you're getting finger snaps, you're getting the music, you're getting the dancing, and it's also stylized. It sort of knocks you off guard, unless you're ready for it.
I'm happy you mentioned the basketball court, because I remember watching this probably 10 years ago now, and feeling like there was almost an Alfred Hitchcock suspicion going on. Not the movie Suspicion, but there was a suspense going on where you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know if there was going to be a fight, but the way the camera angles worked, there was something very Alfred Hitchcocky about it, where there's something dangerous lurking.
I'm sorry, you invented a new word, Alfred Hitchcocky?
That's right. I
like that.
It's an Englishman who becomes an American and makes suspenseful films.
Excellent.
Of or pertaining to.
Specific.
How about you guys? Where were you when you first watched West Side Story?
You've seen the film, right?
Yes, but this, for me, it was a kind of an in-home. I remember watching it on network television, actually. And one of my favorite nuggets of information, I guess, about West Side Story is I can't imagine it not involving Latin rhythms. And the idea that this actually was, for a very, very long time, starting in the late 40s, really supposed to be a completely different story set with completely different music. I mean, this originally was supposed to be a Catholic-Jewish relationship.
Upper East Side, the East Side Story.
The idea that this would have been kind of that for, multiple years. They thought about this as something with klezmer beats. Just kind of blows my mind that's how it was original. It evolved so drastically, and it feels like the kind of the Latin Puerto Rican beats are part of the DNA of the entire concept. And part of me would love to have heard how it originally sounded.
Yeah.
Who changed the concept? Did Bernstein change it? Did he come on board to the project?
I think what happened was I think it was early on. Bernstein was involved, but there was a show that came out, I'm going to mispronounce this. Is it Abby's or Abby's Irish Rose? ABIE. Abby's Irish Rose came out before while they were trying to work with West Side Story, and they were like, "Oh, this is too similar to our concept. We need to pivot away from it."
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Felicia? What were your impressions the first time you saw the film?
Oh, the first time I saw the film was in high school, and this was following a marching band show that was based on West Side Story.
Wow.
And two memories came to mind. The first was no one knew how to march in 3/4 time. So it was kind of a disaster on the field. It was really rough. And I remember the shape of the band members on the field formed 2 rings intersecting, and I was like, nice. Very nice.
Right.
And then after that, I think our band director asked if we'd ever seen the film, and I don't know, maybe 10% of the whole class raised their hands, and he's like, "This is not acceptable." So we sat in the auditorium and watched the film for little bits throughout the whole week, that was my first exposure to West Side Story.
Yeah.
So you were not part of the 10% who raised their hand?
No.
Well, for a lot of folks, and I remember back in high school, West Side Story was like the quintessential musical. There was that, and there was Rodgers and Hammerstein. But West Side Story was, everybody knew all of those songs. Mm-hmm. And there are some really remarkable tunes in there. But also the orchestrations are great. There's a lot of imagination going on in the music. So I can only imagine what it's like to hear it performed live along with the voices. Now, you have to sort of keep an ear, Elaine, on what's going on with the film soundtrack, right? Because you don't want to overshadow what's happening there, do you?
Yes. The technique actually is that there's a movie in front of me in a little monitor, and there's a time code on it. So on the bottom of it, there's kind of a line going on, like where you would see like subtitles or something like that. Well, they're under actually, but and there's a kind of a bar that goes click. It doesn't go click, but it moves a little bit, and then it stops. Then it comes back again. It gives it, because there's parts without music. Yeah. So you need to know exactly where to come in. I mean, when I say exactly, it has to be exactly. Not, I know where it is. It's there. That's not enough. It has to be tick, 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 boom, right there. Because then if he's whistling, and if you see him doing that, and it's kind of, when you have bad doublings in movie and they laugh and the laugh is going on and their mouth is closed, or the contrary kind of thing. Right. Even if it goes on for like a second, it's kind of weird. So, so that's why you have a little bit of help from that thing on the monitor. But West Side Story is, what all my colleagues will tell you the same, is the hardest one to do. Yeah. But the thing is that it's the best one. And we were thinking, because of course it's Bernstein 100th anniversary, right, this year. Yeah. So, would have been. And we wanted to see what we're going to do. Say, do we do a concept where we have, maybe the second symphony, or we do this, or maybe it's the violin concerto we did last year, right? Mm-hmm. So, not the concerto, but the serenade. And I was thinking, why not do something different? Like really bring everybody together as much as we can. And it's his most well-known work. His symphonies are fantastic too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is a piece of music all by itself. And as you say, you don't want to overshadow the movie, but the music is the music. I mean, and the music underlines every single action of the movie. Like if you watch the movie if you put it on mute for 10 minutes, it's not that you're going to lose interest, but it's going to be like, it could be a conversation. The drama, half the drama is in the music. More than half the drama is in the music. Yeah. It's very interesting. Look the way that the interaction, let's say with Tony, or when the sharks are there. And if you try to put mute and just go like, okay, Yeah. And then, whoa, you put the music back, and then all of a sudden you're either scared or you're feeling enamored, or you have all these emotions that come. So for us, I don't think you can really overplay it, but you really have to play it very much at the same time.
And this probably underscores why there is that problem with the editing process from back when this movie came out. They didn't have the technology to really marry the film and the music and the dialogue and the dancing in every single take. So as difficult as it was for them back then, it's because it was so challenging 60 years ago, and so too is it now. I mean, what you're doing is not complicated just because of some of those rudimentary technologies, but it's still really challenging to do what they set out to do, even if we tried to do it right now. You think about the modern movie musicals still struggle with this, but we're looking at something that is historic at this point.
Now, for folks who may have not seen West Side Story, or maybe don't even know what it's about, we have a little bit of a primer for you, a fun little thing that we did. At least it's fun for us. I hope it is for everybody else. Shakespeare was the progenitor of the West Side Story story through yes, I put words together for a living. West Side Story, the West Side Story plot through his play Romeo and Juliet. In other words, West Side Story was based on Romeo and Juliet, right? Everybody understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that took a lot longer than it needed to.
So what we did was we went to our resident TSO thespian, Bob Clemens, who helped us out last year, and he reenacted for us a sort of a re-Shakespearized version of West Side Story. It's only about 2 minutes long, so we don't hit all the points, but we cover the major plot points. And we added a little bit of sound effects, a little bit of music, and for our masterpiece theater, or piece of work theater, we're calling it, our piece of work theater offering here. This is West Side Story a la Shakespeare. I'm going to leave our microphones open here just so we can join in the fun.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair New York, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
At which hour thou art a jet all the way, from thy first cigarette to thy last dying day. Maria!
Oh, Merwin.
Maria. I've just half met a wench named Maria, and suddenly your name shall never be'st the same to me.
Those snaps. Sorry, guys.
Tonight. All beginneth tonight. I did see thee, and the ordinary wenteth away. La 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 la. The Jets aren't gonna hast their day tonight. The Sharks are gonna hast their way tonight.
Thou poisonous hunchback's toad.
Methinkest thou art a general offense.
Thou art a boil, a plague
Thine
sore.
face is not worth sunburning.
Thou lump of foul deformity.
Thee hath killed mine own brother. Thy brother hath killed mine own best friend. Let's runneth away together. Yes, let's. Thither's a lodging for us. Somehow. Someday. Somewhere.
Bang!
Maria. Oh, bloody hell.
A glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. For never was a story of more woe than this of Maria and her Tony O.
The sad part was we rehearsed all of that so many times.
I'm just, I'm shocked that you aren't giving copies of this away to those who contribute to the station through your fund drive.
We may have to consider that.
Maybe you should threaten to give copies of this to people
Exactly.
unless they make a contribution, in which case you won't.
I don't know. I'd have to make an awful lot of copies to follow through on that threat. So it's a little bit different from the movie. A little bit.
The dramatic spacing is a little different.
Yeah, a little bit different, but we still
Sound effects are amazing, though.
get it across. Yeah, and I thought the background singing was fantastic as well. Thanks to everyone involved for that little piece of work. Now, moving on, talking about West Side Story, one of the things that I love to point out in West Side Story, of course, is the singing and the singing voice of Marnie Nixon, who was, somebody who stood in for all these actresses in these musical theater films, and she provided the singing voice for Natalie Wood in the role of Maria for this. I have a personal connection to Marnie. I knew her briefly when we were at Tanglewood together, and I stayed in the bed and breakfast with her, and she was just a delightful person. Separate rooms, Zach. I see that look on your face. Separate rooms, but we shared breakfast together. Not the bed part, just the breakfast. And she was just a remarkable, lovely person, and very open about all of these experiences. And one of the things that she did talk about was Bernstein and how he really took care of her, because when the Cast album came out, it was so popular and it sold so much. She was cut out of the residual process. She wasn't getting any money at all. And then Bernstein took a percentage of his residual and had it reassigned to her. Wow. So she was able to actually make some money off of her singing, which I think, says a lot about Bernstein as well as about that whole enterprise. So, and she does a wonderful job, because she's one of those singing actors. She can act with her voice. Mm-hmm. She's not trying to be as good of a singer as she can be. She's on par with everybody else that's singing in there. And it's interesting because the singing in that film works wonderfully, and a lot of it is not the actors that are actually doing the singing in the film. They're not actually singing. They have voice doubles. And the voice doubles are still creating a singing that sounds like the actors and like their speaking voices and like they would sound when they sing. So there's a lot of attention to detail in this film. I do have one more quiz that I'd like to try and fit in before we get through it today, and that is a jet and shark quiz, right? Let's see, I'll bring up...
Ooh, it's about hockey.
Up a little music.
San Jose.
Winnipeg. Oh.
Okay, here we go. First, I'll give you a little bit of movie trivia. This comes from the IMDb. During the entire production of West Side Story, the film, the actors wore out 200 pairs of shoes. They applied more than 100 pounds of makeup. They split 27 pairs of pants. I love that. And they performed in 30 different recording sessions. Do you know who the original choice was of Robert Wise to play the role of Tony? The director, Robert Wise, wanted somebody else to play
Robert
Tony.
Wagner.
No. Interesting choice. Elvis Presley. He wanted Elvis Presley to play Tony.
I'm all shook up.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I could see it, but that's also a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In its time, this was the biggest selling soundtrack album, right? Okay, on to our Jet and Shark quiz. This is multiple choice. Who was the first person to imagine using controlled rear combustion to propel a machine forward at super speed? Get it? That's a jet part of the quiz. Was it Leonardo da Vinci, was it Sir Isaac Newton, or was it Henry Ford?
I'll go. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the hand up.
The hand
which is so important in radio. The raised hand in radio is
I
so
learned
great.
it by watching Felicia.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll guess A.
You'll guess A? You would be incorrect. Oh. This is a gentleman who was very much concerned with the laws of motion. Who would that be?
I'll go with option B.
Sir Isaac Newton. That's correct. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, true or false? Sharks have eyelids. Is that true or is that false? You have a 50-50 choice here. So.
I feel like it's false.
Any other guessers?
They're going to have their way tonight.
Okay. I'll give you one more guess.
This is like going around with Michael Lang. We couldn't remember what the last option was.
Do sharks have eyelids? True or false?
I guess we'll pivot to true.
It's true.
I guess it must be true.
Okay.
Well, in the cartoon versions, they never blink, so you know.
Here's another one for you. Which happened first, the Apollo moon landing or the first jumbo jet flight?
A.
Which was first? You say the Apollo moon landing was first?
Any other answer?
Actually, the Boeing 747 first flew in February 1969, 5 months before Apollo 11 landed on the moon.
5 months.
Yeah.
5 months.
Yeah.
It sounded like a trick question.
Now, which of these...
It's all a trick.
Okay, here's a true or false. Here's another shark true or false. Oh, let's get the music back up because I like that beat. There we go. Another true or false. You can measure the age of a shark by counting the tiny ridges on its teeth. Is that true or false? 50-50.
Don't they have like
I feel like
a billion rows
my
of
son
teeth?
would know this. Yeah, I feel like it's more the number of
Let's
rows
look at
of
some
teeth.
kid's book.
Right? Yeah.
By counting the ridges on its teeth. You can,
I would say false.
Let's go false.
That is false. It's actually You can count the rings on its vertebrae to tell how old it is.
Like a tree.
Wow, like a tree.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, who is known as the father of aviation? Is it Orville Wright, George Cayley, or Wilbur Post?
Orville, right?
Right?
Orville, George, or Wilbur?
I would say George.
George, you would be correct. George Cayley. In 1799, English aviator George Cayley built the first glider that could go short distances. Wilbur Post, you know who that was, right? He was the owner of Mr. Ed. Remember? Wilbur. Exactly. Okay. Which of the following is true of sharks? They are colorblind, their ears are inside their heads, or they never sleep. Which of those three is true?
Well, their ears are inside their heads. Otherwise, they'd be non-dynamic.
Well, I mean, their ears in their entirety are inside their head.
Well, you don't see ears flapping in the water, Brad.
You're
Sorry.
very indignant about this.
So what's your answer? They could have little tiny ears, little shark ears, so they flip it out of there to capture the
Yeah, and they turn
sonic
backwards
waves.
when they
They
hear
turn
other
backwards,
things,
yeah.
right?
Exactly, yeah. Like
Just
cat
kidding.
shark.
Cat shark.
So
shark movies are a
I still
thing.
don't hear an answer. Are they colorblind? Are their ears inside their heads?
Their ears
or
are
they,
inside
they
their
never
head.
sleep. So is that your final
my-
answer?
that's my
They
final
never
answer, and if
sleep.
I'm
Don't they
wrong,
just,
I'm going to
float
come back
around
at
with
you.
their eyes open without eyelids.
This is kind of a trick
That's a really
question.
good point.
Oh,
They're
is it
all
three?
correct.
They are all three correct. Yay! Good job. That was our jet and shark quiz. Which do you identify with more? Are you more of a jet or a shark, Merwin?
I'm going to play my Canadian card in the Winnipeg Jets versus the San Jose Sharks. So Winnipeg,
Oh, okay. Wait, so you're a jet?
a Jet.
Okay. What
Are you
about
a jet all the
Felicia?
way?
Till
So your last dying day? Yes. Lasteth the dying dayeth. Felicia, would you identify with sharks or jets more?
sharks.
Okay. One jet, one shark. How about you, Zach? Your ears are inside your head?
My ears are inside my head, yeah.
You never sleep?
I don't know how to answer this question.
Jet or a shark? I don't know. I would rather be like a jet shark or a shark jet.
You're all about combining animals. And,
Yeah.
Lighter.
Hey, the more the merrier.
I'd probably go for shark.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have jet, shark, shark. What say you, Elaine?
Krupke?
You're really a square.
Yeah, exactly.
but you're the other half of the Canadian contingent here. along
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Merwin,
yeah,
so-
but I'm sorry, Merwin. I'm going shark.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Brad?
Wait, you're
see
you're
you in
going
the
shark?
playoffs.
So we have one jet and three sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel bad. I feel
This
like
explains
I
a lot.
There's blood in the water.
Explains a lot.
need to sit this one out. That is just about all the time that we have. We do want to remind you the concert is happening this Saturday, September 29th. It's at the Stranahan Theatre, 8 o'clock p.m. And this is, once more, the film West Side Story. It's going to be on the great big projection screen. The orchestra is going to be performing the musical score. More information at ToledoSymphony.com or at 419-246-8000. Thanks to everybody who joined me today. Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, Felicia Canning, and of course, Elaine Trudell. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. I'm Brad Cresswell, and this has been Toledo Symphony Lab here on FM 91.